Hey everyone, so here is how you do your project for word problems using positive, negative, rational numbers. You're going to start off by needing to get the Explain Everything app in self-service. That's this one right here, so go ahead and get that installed. Once you have that installed, I'm going to walk you through a couple things here. So let's start off by looking at the rubric. And this is the place you'd want to start anytime when you have a rubric is at the rubric. So the first thing that we want to look at is the story itself. So I have to have one character. I have to come up with my own word problem, and there has to be background images, that kind of thing. For motion and sound, I have to have some sort of motion recorded. My motion has to match my story. My video sound can be heard. That means my voice is clear and my video sound matches the motion or story. Okay. Regarding the rational numbers, I have to have at least 2 rational numbers in your story. At least one of them is a negative rational number. So we're going below 0, below sea level, whatever your situation. The rational numbers are visible in your video. So you must have them written in and shown. We have to mark where 0 is in the video, whether that's a line of scrimmage or a sea level or anything like that. As far as the question goes, you can see this is the meat of it, so it's worth more points. You must have the question shown on the screen and on your work page, and we'll look at the work page in a second. You have to correctly identify the type of question you asked and make sure that the answer is not given as part of your question. It's something that's going to be revealed at the end. Your expression, so this is the answer and expression part of this. The expression has to match your story and be accurate. And the value is also correct. You need to make sure that you answer the actual question with a label at the end. Notice it says all the bold ones are going to be completed on the work page. So here's the work page that I'm talking about. So your first step is coming up with your question. Okay, so I just thought of something. I knew I wanted to have something at a height above a sea level and something that's below sea level. I knew I had to use a rational number, so that being a fraction or a decimal, and I know I had to have at least one negative number, or a number that would be represented as negative, being underwater. And so I fulfilled those there. So I just told a story. This is actually a true story, but obviously the heights are made up. But I lived in Edinburgh, and so when I was a little boy, we used to swing off a rope swing by the Edinburgh Dam. Okay, there's a little park there. And so there was a rope swing back there, and we used to climb up this tree and launch into the water. So this was at 12 2/3 feet up the tree. Okay. After jumping, I would land in the water and go 6 1/6 feet underwater. How far was the change in height from where I jumped to the depth I went underwater? Okay. All right. So I've officially typed in my question here, and I'm going to fill out my action word problem work page. So the type of question, it's a change. I don't know the change from the height to the underwater location. So I know my 2 points. That means it's an end minus start. If it was a now, remember that it would be a start plus whatever that change is. So I recorded my end minus start, and I recorded my 2 rational numbers there. Okay. And so now I would go ahead on this sheet and solve it before I would get to my actual project. Okay, so this is how I would tackle this. I have a subtraction problem, so right away I'm going to do some KFC because we do not like subtraction. And so I end up with this problem. I'm not going to deal with the mixed numbers. So I'm going to change those to improper fractions. But before I do, I am going to fix the issue of my uncommon denominators. So we know with adding and subtracting fractions, we must have common denominators. I can't change those to decimals because they will be repeating decimals. okay, and we can't work with that. So I'm going to turn my thirds into sixths by doing a quick multiplying by 2 over 2, and I end up getting negative 12 and 4 sixths. Okay, all right, so now I can go ahead and I'm going to turn these into improper fractions using our trick of multiplying by the whole and then adding the numerator. And I'm going to rewrite my problem over here. Okay, so for the first fraction, mixed number, I have 6 times 6 is 36, plus 1 is 37. And so we have 37 sixths, but remember that's negative. And then I'm adding the 3 times 12 is 36, plus the 2 is 38. So, oops, we're not doing the 3, sorry. I'm doing my 6 times 12 plus the 4. So I have 12 times 6 is 72, plus the 4 is 76 sixths, and that is also negative. Okay, so now I'm going to, because I have addition, sing my song, same signs, add and keep. And so I have 76 plus 37. So I can do that on the side or with my calculator. And I have 13 and 11, totaling 113. Okay, so same signs, add and keep. So I have negative 113 sixths as my final answer. Okay, all right. So what is the value? I can go ahead and rewrite that down now. Negative 113 sixths, and that is feet. And then we can go ahead and write my official answer. Okay, so the question was, how far was the change in height? The change in height was 113 sixths down. Okay, by putting the word down, I'm replacing the negative. Okay, and there is my answer. Now, if I did want to change that to a mixed number, I would just have to figure out how many 6 sixths are in 113 sixths. So I can actually look at this and do 113 divided by 6. It looks like 18. Okay, so 18 times 6 is 108. So we actually have 18, and we said 6 times 18 is 108. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's 18 and 5 6 if you want to change that to a mixed number. We also need to make sure we put feet as our unit. Okay, so this is what would need done ahead of time and checked by the teacher before you start recording your video. Once you have something like this done, then we go ahead to the video creation. Okay, and that is going to be over here and explain everything. So let's go ahead and open up explain everything. You're going to go ahead and choose new project. Okay, and it's going to open up this canvas. Okay, you can then take your text box and tap it in here, and you can go ahead and paste in your question from your work page. So here's my question in here, and what I'm going to do now is start building my background. Okay, and so here's the process to do that. I'm going to go to Safari, and I'm going to start looking for some different things. So I looked for tree over river. And so once I found a really good one that I want, I'm going to add to photos. Okay. I also know that I want a boy. And so one of the things that you can do is type the word transparent And if you do transparent, then it won't have all the backgrounds. And so I'm going to pick, I typed in transparent boy swimming clip art. So I'm going to find a picture of a kid. So I'm going to use this one here. And then I'm going to hold my finger down and add to photos. Okay. And so now when I go to explain everything, I can start to add these images. Okay. And so I'm going to, up in the top left over here, I'm going to click add and existing image. And you can see we're going to start with our background here. Now you can pinch and zoom and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and make this just a little bit smaller so it's not in the way of my... Actually, why don't we do this? I'm going to crop it a little bit just to get rid of that Adobe there. So I'll do something like this. There we go. And then I'm going to hit apply. And I'm going to hit done. So now I have my background here for my story, and it's not in the way of my question. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the clip art of the swimmer also. Okay, now here's a neat trick with this. Over here on the far left, you have this right here. And this, all you have to do is tap it once and then drag over any colors you want to make disappear. And it'll make the outside of that disappear. Then you can hit apply and hit done, and there you go. Okay, so I have my boy over here, okay? And I'll just sort of have a pretend rope swing. Let me get another color here. Where are all the colors? There they are. And let's see, where's a sort of brown? That'll work. Okay, so I'll have my rope swing hanging up here. Okay, so we'll do something like that. Okay, so I just have my picture there. All right, now what we're gonna do is go ahead and you can change all the like point sizes, you have highlighters, that kind of thing, if you want to draw water, if you can't find a good background or whatever it is, okay? I'm going to go ahead and start writing down some of my numbers because I know in my rubric, if we look back at Notability here, I have to have a character, which I do, okay? So check on that. I have my story, I have my background. I have to have motion, things like that. There has to be at least 2 rational numbers in my story, so I need to record those. I need to have a -1, and then I need to make sure that they're visible in the video and that 0 is also visible. So those 4 things I'm going to work on right now. Okay, so the very first one is going to be, and maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to go ahead and record my numbers. So we would climb up the tree to where the rope was hooked. This was at 12 and 2/3 feet up the tree. Okay, so this is where it's hooked on here. Okay, so there's a hook here, and this is 12 and 2/3 feet. Okay, and so this is my first point. Okay, then I would land in the water and go 6 1/6 feet underwater. Okay, and so I'm going to sort of represent that this here is 0 feet, and way down in the water is -6 1/6 feet. Okay, and so that's going to represent down below the water there. Okay, all right, now what you do is, let's see, I have my positive, I have my negative, I have my 0. Let's double check everything else. Okay, and everything's visible. Okay, and I have my question is shown on the screen. And now it's time to do the motion. Okay, so I'm going to take my character here, make sure I'm on the hand over here. Okay, and he's going to be down here. And then what you do is you hit record on here, and I'll start recording. All right, so when I was a little boy, we used to swing off a rope swing by the Edinburgh Dam and launch into the water. We would climb up the tree to where the rope was hooked. This was at 12 and 2/3 feet up the tree. After jumping, I would land in the water and go 6 1/6 feet underwater. So how far was the change in height from where I jumped to the depth I went under? All right. And then after you share the story, this is where the person watching would pause. And I'm going to go ahead and solve the problem. Okay. And so over here on the side, I'm going to go ahead and walk through the actual problem. Okay. So here's how you would do this problem. Okay. And so you verbally are going to teach someone how to solve it. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the 12 2/3 be 6th. And so we're going to multiply by 2/2 and get to 12 4/3. Okay. All right. Now, because I'm finding change and I don't know the distance from here to here, this is my x, I'm going to do the end, which is -6 1/6 minus 12 4/6. Okay. And I'm going to have to use my eraser tool right there because I accidentally put thirds. All right, so now that I have my expression, I'm going to go ahead and do KFC, so keep, flip, change. And I know that with keep, flip, change, same signs add and keep. And so I'm going to, because this is a pretty easy mixed number problem, you can keep them as a mixed number, or I could change these to improper fractions. But I think for this, I'm going to keep them as mixed numbers. So same signs add and keep. So 12 plus the 6 is 18. Okay, and this is negative. And then 4 plus the 1/6 is 5/6. Okay, now if I made them improper fractions, I would multiply by the whole and add the numerators. And I would get 37/6, and that's negative, plus 72. 12 times 6 is 72. And then we get 76/6, and that's negative. And this would equal 76, 86, 96, 106, -113/6. Okay, so both of these would be accurate answers. Okay, so to answer my question, how far was the change in height from where I jumped to the depth I went underwater? The change in height was 18 5/6 feet. Okay, and that's it. So that's what your story would be, and that's how it would look for you to teach and explain how to solve your problem. Then you would hit stop recording. Okay, and you can see if you need to trim or edit anything or re-record from a certain point, you could go back and hit record from a different location and that kind of thing. When you're done, what you're going to do is click up in the top right, and you're going to export it as a video, and then you can go ahead and leave it how it is and hit export. And then right here, when you get this screen, you're going to click save video, and then it'll save this video to your camera roll. Okay. Once you have it into your camera roll, then you're going to be able to send it to the Schoology assignment along with your PDF work. Okay, so that is your assignment.